petition, because I really don't even know how to phrase the question any simpler than that, or to ask a better person. I don't know what to say.
Sure.
I could throw in my own opinion about it, but it doesn't really matter. I'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Look, the advocacy movement that's underway is not random. We're not just throwing things against the wall. There are plans here. There are projects underway that are planned and thought through. And this one is sensitive on the White House website. It garnished the minimum 5,000 signatures needed for a response in 4 days. 14,000 petitions were submitted, which scared the hell out of them, so they raised the threshold to 25,000. I can appreciate that, but they overreacted. Since the vast majority of those are not even going to get the 150 minimum to be published, they'll probably reduce that 25,000, wouldn't surprise me, back to about 10 or 15,000 at some point, once they get a sense of how many petitions they're going to have to respond to. But whatever, it wasn't retroactive. And so, as planned, we got a response from the government on November the 4th, late in the afternoon on Friday, which is where you put your controversial stuff out after the news cycle before the weekend. And it didn't really matter what was in it. What was in it is a short, brief, bland, 40-year out-of-date statement about the phenomena. A major event. Why? Because through using this petition process, which they created, they set it up, and they set up the rules, we now have, for the first time since the UFO phenomenon exploded into the public mind in 1947, early 47, we have the first written formal position of an executive branch of the U.S. government. Never had it before. They are now in writing. This is their position. This is the position of the United States executive branch, the President of the United States and his staff, on the ET issue, and it is utterly indefensible. It is utterly indefensible. And so now they have handed us a stationary target that I can then direct the media at, providing the media over and over again with the facts, the evidence, and saying, does this jive with that? And since it's a formal position of the U.S. government now, the editors of all the papers and television stations around the country and also web news organizations now have a perfectly legitimate hook upon which to send a reporter out or follow up on a story. This, I believe, is in fact either a deliberate mistake or simply an error in a chess game that's been going on for a good 20 years, and they just made a fatal move, which happens in chess games, and they're finished. I don't think they can't win the game. In fact, they're mated in 3 or 4 moves. Now, whether they know that doesn't matter. All we have to do now is break that position. All we have to do is show, with hopefully the help of mainstream media, that that position is completely indefensible, and it breaks it, break the position, break the truth embargo. It's over. So this is a very important event, in my opinion, and we will have a new petition up soon, but we're going to take a little time to work on where we are, and we'll start the whole process again with another take on this. And see if we can have to force them to a second response. But meanwhile, we're going to pound on this response until we break it.
Whoever is behind the truth embargo is basically running out of time. However, and this is how I see the Obama administration, is that now at this point, at this stage, once this petition has gotten this response here, you say November 4th, 1 year to go, theoretically, before the election, and now you have another administration that can, maybe play stupid, stall for another 2 to 3 years, where there's another president and administration that's in there that has to respond to a petition like that. Not that this cycle could keep up, but, they could play this waiting game, 3, maybe 5 more years, and then they really do start to
No, they can't. They can't wait. That's what I'm saying. Their ability to wait, to dodge, to weave, to duck is evaporating.
I agree with you. Right.
This position statement even makes it worse. You see, this is not the U.S.'s position or the U.S. Activities with respect to ETs is not happening in a vacuum. There are other countries that are aware of ET presence. There are other countries that are doing things which clearly indicate that they are prepared to move forward on this, and they're putting pressure on the U.S. There are witnesses coming forward. There are movies being done, documentaries being done, new evidence is coming up, public awareness is growing, and the media is writing more and more articles, though not to the depth and degree that they need to. And so this idea that we'll just stand pat and do nothing in the law can, no, I don't. I do honestly see, and I don't care about the election. I can tell you this, that disclosure is the absolute best thing we could have right now in terms of the election, because the election is already a massive three-ring circus, an international farce that's embarrassing this country to the great depths. But in any event, so disclosure would be a welcome event and would clearly change the entire political dialogue, and we actually might start talking real to each other. But in any event, it doesn't matter. I do not see how the truth embargo on the EP presidents can last through the summer of next year. It's just getting pounded, and I'm not saying that there won't be more stupid articles from particularly some of the worst media venues like Time Magazine, which has made an ass of itself so many times on this I can't even count. But there's still too many of the media that are jumping in and events taking place, and this petition is just one of them. Look, we're logging in the media coverage on this petition and the White House response. It's international. I've got about 90 articles logged in now. There have probably been many hundreds. I'm getting reports that it's being covered in almost every country that significantly covers the news, international news, in other languages. So it's international, multilingual. It's on the web, so it's moving forward at warp speed because it only came out last Friday.
Right.
So you're seeing that the sensitivity to this issue. Now, some of the coverage is okay. The White House said there's no ETs. There must not be any ETs. But does anybody really believe that the media believes just everything the White House says anymore? Hell, it's only got an approval rating. The Congress has got an approval rating of like 10%. I think the president's 40. I think the executive branch might be 25. So again, it's now in play, and we're seeing how rapidly it can go in play. And we haven't even started. I've got more releases to go out. The web hasn't even cranked up on this yet. And of course, we're going to have more petitions. So again, how do you sleepwalk through 3 more years of ignoring the EP presence? And get away with that? I don't see it. I don't see that they can do it. Now, I could be wrong. The one thing that I'm worried about is not them sort of how would you say simply denying this indefinitely. My concern is not that. My concern is that we're going to have an extremely bad event take place, which is going to derail disclosure for sure for many, many years. And thus we'll still be on this side of the disclosure event, which is we need to be on the other side of the river. And, I think most people understand when I say that it can happen at any moment. And the number one concern is a nuclear event. There was just a report the other day that the Pakistanis have been driving nuclear weapons around in SUVs so that we don't know where they are, and they're being lightly guarded and driven around Pakistan. We've got reports that are coming out now every couple of days that Israel is openly discussing attacking Iran.
Yeah.
If any of these kind of things happen, I can assure you that the stuff that we think is a problem now is going to seem like a walk in the park. A nuclear event or a major bioattack is going to trigger years, if not decades, of extremely unpleasant things. It's going to drive a whole host of important issues right off the table, and one of them will be disclosure, and we will remain in this paradigm until we get through the next dark ages, however long that is. And that's my concern. That's why this advocacy movement is so important and why it needs funding now and desperately, not because disclosure won't happen if we don't have a funded advocacy movement, but because it won't happen, it may not happen soon enough.
Steve Bassett is the director of the Paradigm Research Group. Steve, I want to give you a chance here to just add a couple of websites or links that you'd like to get out there. We appreciate you spending some time with us and giving your thoughts on this. Just give us a couple of links and stuff you want us to go take a look at before we cut the break here.
Look, you can follow all of the disclosure petition and next disclosure petitions activities at the major info site, which is disclosurepetition.info. All right, and you can support World Disclosure Day, which is July the 8th. We need more endorsements. We're up to about 5,000, but we need many more. So go to worlddisclosureday.org and endorse World Disclosure Day. And of course, we're available at paradigmresearchgroup.org.
Thanks very much, sir. This is the Time and Space Radio Show. We're going to cut to another break and get back in just a few minutes. Steve, thanks again for taking the time to join us, and we'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Anytime, Mike, anytime.
Take me to your detail. I have